The scene is set for a clash of assumptions. On a routine BBC programme discussing international aid and education policy, a British correspondent, Philip Caldwell, is interviewing Dr. Amara Santos, a Filipina sociologist and education specialist, renowned for her work on literacy programs across Southeast Asia. Caldwell, though well-meaning, carries the subtle colonial baggage of viewing nations that receive aid as inherently less developed in all aspects, including education. The conversation is initially polite, centered on infrastructure gaps and funding. Caldwell steers the conversation toward a comment intended to be sympathetic, but which lands as a profound insult. He says, with a tone of unfortunate paternalism, Dr. Santos, with the sheer size of your population and the lack of funding, it's a Herculean task, isn't it? To bring modern, Western-level education to a largely rural, and perhaps, historically, less formally educated population like the Philippines. It must be frustrating to manage those basic literacy challenges. The statement hangs in the air. The BBC reporter, live on air, has just implied that the Filipino population is generally uneducated and that Western-level education is the only true benchmark. Dr. Santos, calm in her traditional barong dress, does not flinch. She knows the true numbers. She knows the data. She knows the staggering hypocrisy embedded in his assumption. She is ready to correct his sympathy with unassailable facts. She is ready to expose the truth about Filipino literacy and intellectual rigor, a truth that would immediately shatter Caldwell's entire premise. The smug certainty on Caldwell's face is about to be wiped clean by a history lesson he clearly skipped. Dr. Santos leans into her microphone, her voice carrying a quiet authority that instantly commands attention. She doesn't address the insult directly, but rather she addresses the facts that render his entire premise obsolete. Mr. Caldwell, I must politely correct the fundamental premise of your question. Your belief that we are a historically less formally educated population is a common Western misunderstanding. The Philippines has one of the highest literacy rates in all of Asia, consistently ranking in the high 90s, higher than the United Kingdom, higher than the United States, and higher than many Western European nations. She hits him with the data. As of the last global assessment, our functional literacy rate, the ability to apply reading and writing skills in everyday life, was over 91.6%. The challenge we face is not basic literacy, it is infrastructure equity. Furthermore, on the measure of English proficiency, we are consistently ranked as one of the best in the world, often surpassing European non-native speaking countries. She pauses for effect. So, while you may send aid to help us build schools, the aid is going to a population that is already, statistically speaking, more functionally literate than the population of your own country. The anchor, Philip Caldwell, looks genuinely shocked, fumbling with the papers on his desk. His patronizing sympathy has been neutralized by unassailable data. This moment of quiet, dignified defense of Filipino intellect is why this story needs to be told. If you're a true, full-blooded Filipino who carries the spirit of Puso in your chest, show your support and subscribe to this channel right now. Join us to celebrate the victory of Filipino intellect over casual Western prejudice. Caldwell attempts to regain control, trying to narrow the focus. But Dr. Santos, those statistics often rely on colonial-era standards. We are talking about modern, analytical skills, the kind of critical thinking that defines a world-class education. Dr. Santos is ready. She expertly pivots the definition of world-class education back onto the Filipino experience. Mr. Caldwell, let's define world-class. We are a nation that requires our professionals to operate in multiple languages and navigate immense structural adversity daily. Our education system, forged under successive global influences, has produced the world's most sought-after professionals, nurses, engineers, and seafarers who run global systems. This is not rote learning, this is advanced intellectual adaptability. She then delivers the definitive blow. The most robust measure of a nation's education is its human capital. Export the quality of its professionals demanded by the global market. Why are Filipino nurses preferred by the NHS in the UK? Why are Filipino IT professionals consistently rated for their clarity and problem-solving skills in American and European corporations? It is because the Filipino education system, despite the funding gaps you mentioned, prioritizes precision, rigorous grammar, and ethical professionalism. We don't need the Western benchmark, Mr. Caldwell. We are the benchmark. The global demand for our talent is the proof that our education is world-class, functional, and superior in practical application. The truth is undeniable. The world's most critical systems are currently being run by the very people he deemed less formally educated. The segment concludes with Dr. Santos's final, powerful framing of the Filipino intellectual culture. She explains that the true strength of Filipino education is not just in literacy rates, but in cultural resourcefulness. This system teaches students to thrive on limited resources, to find brilliant, low-cost solutions where others rely on infinite budget, and to integrate deep-seated respect puso with professional competence. The greatest asset of the Filipino education system, Dr. Santos says, her voice rising slightly with pride, is that it produces graduates who are not just knowledgeable, but resilient. Your education system produces specialists. Ours produces adaptable global citizens who can step into any environment and immediately execute at a world-class level. When a BBC reporter suggests Filipinos are less educated, he is displaying ignorance of the global reality, not the local one. The BBC's Philip Caldwell, silent and corrected, is forced to awkwardly thank Dr. Santos, his entire paternalistic premise shattered live on air. The Filipino sociologist used her precise, world-class education to deliver a devastating lesson in cultural humility, proving that the most advanced education in the world is often found not where the money is, but where the intellect and puso are strongest. The reporter's attempt to patronize only served to broadcast the dazzling truth of Filipino intellectual excellence to millions.